Coach, after watching the video from the last game, SIU obviously we know shut down Tevin. What were you able to kind of get out of what they did to maybe figure out new ways to get Tevin the ball going forward?
Well, we got him the ball. We just got to be a lot more efficient offensively with Tevin there. And I think, he'll learn a lot from watching the film and in our individual sessions we had this weekend. Just able to use screens, make some different reads there. I think it'll be something he'll learn a lot from the game moving forward.
Coach, one of the things that SIU was really good at that, we were all kind of quiet about, but after going back and looking at the box score, SIU is 9 of 19 from three. And I know that that's a stat that you probably weren't pleased with. What did you learn about your three-point defense, and what did SIU do to get those shots that were pretty good looks there in the first half?
Well, it was a big concern going into the game, and in the first half, they really spread the floor with their 5 perimeter shooters. They put us in some situations where we had some poor perimeter closeouts that put us into rotations defensively. And I thought they did a nice job of moving the ball, making the extra pass, and shot the ball really well from the three-point line in the first half. The second half, we did a much better job defensively, limiting those looks. But the Brown three there late in the game in transition, where he hit the three in the corner to put them up, was a huge play in the game.
How important is it to get this final non-conference game in before you do get into the thick of your conference schedule? I know you kind of talked about the other night when y'all did add this Transylvania game, but I know any game at this point is critical.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, our guys have worked extremely hard, and I want to get them as many games as we can. I think that's where we're going to be able to keep getting better. I don't think there's any question about it. We're a better team today than we were 2 weeks ago. So I think another opportunity to play against a very disciplined, well-coached team tomorrow that spaces the floor well, shoots it well from three, I think will be a really good test for our defense. And then offensively, as we know, we have a lot of work to do as far as cleaning up our turnovers. And some of them are just fundamental mistakes that we're making, catching the ball at the top of the key and traveling, dribbling the ball off our foot out of bounds. Some of those that we really have to eliminate, the unforced errors that are really killing our offensive efficiency. So the opportunity to do that against a good team tomorrow night, I'm excited for our players that we have a chance to bounce back from Friday and try to get better.
Do you foresee this being your final non-conference game, or do you think that you'll add any more games in the future?
Well, by rule this year, the NCAA did not approve the ability to play 27 games unless you're in an MTE. And so by rule, we would be at our maximum of 5 non-conference games. Obviously, there are a lot of assumptions there, Adam, assuming we get all 20 of our league games in. But I don't think we could schedule another non-conference game at this point.
Coach, Justice Hill, you talk about that turnover off of his foot there on the baseline. His assist to turnover ratio has been absolutely terrific, but over the last couple of games, his shot just hasn't been falling for whatever reason. Where do you want him offensively on the floor? You've talked about his catch and shoot ability. His free throw percentage is pretty solid, but where do you want his offense to come from in the flow of everything right now?
Well, again, he had a great impact on the game Friday with his 7 assists. But 1 for 8 from the floor is certainly not going to cut it there. He shot the ball well from 3 overall on the season. It's the 2-point percentage that has to improve. We've got to start finishing our plays at the rim when he takes advantage of his quickness to get there, and I expect that he'll be able to do so. But we want him to continue to be an offensive threat, both scoring and creating for others.
Talking about Hill and then also having Chico coming off the bench like you have had in the last couple of games, that he's kind of had the hot hand. Is do you see that as a positive for you to have 2 point guards right now? Like Hill had that hot hand a couple of games ago against Illinois State where he's hitting shots, but Chico's kind of had that the last couple. And
I think so, Adam. I really don't get caught up in who starts and all that. I look at it as we've been starting those 5 guys. Then we come off the bench with Chico, who started games here before, Taquan Smith, who started a bunch of games here before. I think that's a good sign for us moving forward, that we're starting to establish some of that depth. And all 7 of those guys, Devin Gilmore being the 8th right now. I mean, all 8 are capable starters for us. So, I really like our personnel. We just got to keep getting better. And I think that so much of it, is just perspective right now. And we're disappointed we lost on Friday. But it depends on how you look at it. I mean, our starting backcourt was 2 of 15 from the floor. We had 18 turnovers. We were minus 19 in free throw attempts, and we're right there with a chance to win the game. So I think those are some areas we can improve in as the season goes along. And if we want to have a successful season, we have to improve in that consistency on the floor and taking care of the ball and being efficient offensively. And I think we have the personnel that will enable us to do that.
Coach, we had some tough news on Friday about Matt Smith, at least what looked to be initial tough news. Do you have any update on his availability moving forward?
Yeah, it was a really tough day. Matt had a traumatic injury. He'll have season-ending surgery tomorrow on his right knee, and that will sideline him for the rest of the year.
Another question on top of that, you were rolling Matt as part of your rotations there, especially in these last 2 or 3 games, and you look to be 9 or 10 deep. I know you like to try and trim that as you get closer and closer to crunch time, but do you plan on someone else swinging in for those minutes, so to speak, to see if they're available as part of your rotation?
Well, I'm excited about Nick McMullen, our freshman forward. I think he'll be able to grab some of those minutes that Matt was playing. I still think we have depth in our front court. Really devastated for Matt. He had worked so hard to get back. It had a great off season, and it was just a really tough injury. But I think he'll bounce back from it strong, and then as a team, we'll move forward. I really like our front court depth. We do have to, I think, from a coaching standpoint, explore the possibilities of developing a 4-guard type lineup, just in case we ever needed to use that, which was not a plan initially going into the season. But that's something we certainly have to focus in on in practice and develop in case we need it down as the season moves along.
Is that the same injury he had last year, or is this a different one?
No, this is a much different one, and this was the one last year was more of a meniscus that just didn't heal in time. This is one that he'll be out of action for an extended period of time.
Coach, considering Quincy has played nothing but LVC opponents so far, do you take this as an opportunity to gauge where you would maybe stand in conference, comparing the results from your game to how they've done against Eastern and Moorhead?
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't believe in those comparable results any year, especially this year. It's more about us. We know they have a very good team. They're going to challenge us in some areas we've struggled in, quite frankly, here early in the season, and that's one of the many reasons I'm excited about the game. But we'll continue to keep the focus on Murray State and trying to help our players get better, trying to help our team become stronger and more consistent, and trying to coach better as well.
Kind of a side note on this game tomorrow night. It's special for the Civils family. Scott being a Murray alum, and then you have Jackson on your team, Will playing for Transylvania. Just your thoughts on how kind of neat that is for their family to kind of have them all together on the floor at the same time.
Oh, I think it's awesome. I think it's a great thing. Hopefully, it's something that they'll both remember and fight over at Christmas for many years to come. I think it'll be a great memory and a great moment for their family to have two sons playing in the game on opposing teams. So excited for both Will and Jackson and their family.
Coach, you've talked a little bit about Transylvania. Where do you hope they test you the most statistically and on the court, just in each minute?
Long list, but defending the three-point line, staying out of rotations defensively by being more solid in our one-on-one defense. They do a great job of screening, being able to navigate those screens and play our defensive principles. Offensively, they're more of a pack line man-to-man team versus a denial team. So we'll have to execute because I think they're very disciplined at that end of the floor, and we can't have so many of these unforced errors that are limiting our opportunities to score offensively.